everybody, I'm Coral. Welcome back to my channel. I'm here today with a video that, oh my gosh, I always plan on doing something like this and then I never remember, partly because it's like, okay, so I should probably explain this. I've always wanted to look back each quarter, so like every 3 months of the year, on the books that I liked the most. And I always forget because I really want to wait until like the very end of the quarters. Hence why this is being filmed in April and not March, because I wanted to complete March and then look back at what I loved the most. Because it's like, what if I read a book at the very end of March? What if I film this video and then I read one more book in March that I really loved? I know, it's goofy, but here it is. I'm going to do it. Hopefully I'll continue this through the year at least, if I can remember. Oh my god, I have so much shit right here. So here they are, my favorite books of the first quarter of the year. There's quite a few. The first one here is The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa. This is a sci-fi, like kind of dystopian book, and this takes place on a tiny Japanese island. They're very isolated. They can't leave the island because people on this island start to forget things, and it's like as they forget them, they destroy the objects because they know that they're going to forget them anyways, and it becomes very uncomfortable to remember the objects, and also potentially dangerous because there is this force called the Memory Police, and if you're somebody who doesn't forget, or if you're somebody who's harboring someone who doesn't forget, or if you're somebody who's keeping things that have been forgotten, you might be in big trouble. Nobody actually knows what happens to the people who are taken by the Memory Police, but they do know that they don't come back. And we're following a young woman who is a novelist. She lives by herself. Her father has died and her mother was taken away by the Memory Police, and you know, she's never heard from her mother again. Her mother was somebody who didn't forget the things that she was supposed to. And the novelist meets somebody who she discovers cannot forget, and she decides that she is going to harbor this person from the Memory Police just in case. And it's just really a very slow-paced book, and I think that worked so very well because there are a few parts in this that get very, very intense, and it was like, because the rest of the pacing is so thoughtful and slow-paced, it's like these very intense parts were like cranked up to fucking 11. Like, it was just so, like, my heart was beating. The ending is also quite dark in my opinion. So very, I was so glad that I picked this up. Probably not for everybody. It is slow paced, but I think the payoff is so big and I really loved it. Next is a manga series that I've started. I've only read the first 2 volumes so far because every time I go to fucking Barnes & Noble, they don't have the 3rd one. I have the 4th one because I keep seeing that one, and like the 5th and the 6th and the 1 and the 2, but never the 3. Anyway, this is Blood on the Tracks by Shuzo Oshimi, and okay, so I'm including this in this video because I really loved it, but I don't really know exactly what to tell you about this because in the first 2 volumes, you just know that something strange is going on, but you can't quite put, at least myself, I can't quite put my finger on what it is. But I think, oh boy, I think this is going to turn into a very strange relationship between the mother and the son, Seiichi. He is I think he's, you know, middle school age, maybe like 11 or 12 years old. And his mom is very much a helicopter parent. She's very doting and nurturing, but also she's in all of his business, and he's just like a really sweet little kid and loves his mother so much. And in the very end of the first volume, there is a really terrible tragedy in their family, and in the second, it's just like the end of both of these first 2 volumes just leaves you like on the precipice of like falling into a fucking canyon, and you're like, what is going on here? I just can't wait to see where it goes, I guess. It's very, very strange. very strange. It gives me some really icky feelings. All right, the next two here are part of the same series. Of course, I've been talking about this over and over. This is books 4 and 5 in the Miriam Black series. Here's my shtick about Miriam Black. She is a person who, when she comes in contact with someone else's skin, she can see how they die. It's not really can, it's that she does. She sees how they die and she can't stop it. And it's like sometimes really traumatic. And sometimes it's like, okay, like this person dies in their sleep when they're 80 years old, but sometimes it's very traumatic. And this ability has gotten her into a lot of trouble. And the series, it just like keeps ramping up with each book. Like the stakes are higher every time, and the 4th and 5th books especially, they're just, it's like, you know, the path you're taking, it goes straight. But in the 4th book, like you're going straight and all of a sudden you take a turn, right? And then in the 5th book, it's like, you're going like this. And it's like, holy shit, like it just changes the whole trajectory of the whole entire fucking series. And oh my God, they're so fast paced. They're so kick-ass. Miriam Black is one of my very, very, very favorite fictional characters of all time, I think. Then, a nonfiction. This is The Rise and Fall of the Dinosaurs by Steve Brusatte. There's not a ton to tell you about this. It's just the history of dinosaurs, right? That's it. But I shouldn't say that's it, I guess, because it is really a very interesting book, especially if you are somebody who still holds on to that like childhood love and interest, that passion for dinosaurs, like apparently I do. This was such a fun read. There are some really great photographs in here, some drawings, some, you know, some pictures of fossils, but also at the start of each chapter, there is a really fun, like mock-up drawing of certain kinds of dinosaurs, and they talk about why we think that a lot of dinosaurs had feathers and things like that. It's just such a really fun book, especially if you love dinos. Then, Such a Pretty Smile by Kristie DeMeester. This was such an insidious little short and sweet book. It's just about 300 pages, so it's very fast-paced and just sinister. This is about a teenager named Lila, and she is like 13, I think. She's like older middle school years, but definitely like a very young teenager. And she lives with her mom. So we have this timeline that's like Lila being a teenager, and also we have a timeline from like 13 years ago or something like that, that is Lila's mother, Caroline. And there are some things in each timeline that are very similar, and it's these murders that are happening, and they call the murderer the Cur, and he targets young girls who maybe are out there not doing things that good girls should do, you know what I mean? Maybe being rebellious, maybe just being normal fucking teenagers. Hi, my battery died. Actually, all 3 of my fucking batteries were dead, so it's been a couple minutes. Hopefully this one will last like 10 minutes while I finish this up, but I can't remember what the fuck I was saying. Anyways, this book was very good, very sinister. The way that the people in this book start acting when these murders start happening are very suspicious and strange, and it made my brain have to work hard to try to suss out what was happening, you know what I mean? So it was really a great experience. It was a really great story, and I just really like Kristie DeMeester. She's got a very wicked little brain. Then was a book that I never thought would be on a list like this. This is Near the Bone by Christina Henry, and I just have never really loved Christina Henry's books. With the fairy tale retellings, I know some people really, really love them, and that's okay. I just end up not that I don't like them, I'm just never wowed by them. And I kind of expected some of the same feelings when I picked this up, but I wanted to try it because this one is a completely original idea. It's not a retelling or anything like that. This is about a woman named Maddie who lives on a mountain in seclusion with her husband, William. And William is a very angry, mean man. And you can tell that Maddie really doesn't want to be there, but she also like can't not be, unfortunately. And there are these mutilated animals that they start to find in the woods near their cabin. And when these mutilations start happening, now there are a group of people who are looking into these mutilations, and they're kind of like cryptid hunters. And whatever is mutilating these animals is very scary, and probably doesn't really love that people are knocking around in its woods. So this is like a tale of Maddie herself, and then also a tale of this thing in the woods, and it came together really well. And I really, really enjoyed this. It was a real page turner. It was really hard to put this one down. Okay, last book on this list is Thunderhead by Neal Shusterman. And this is a YA, like sci-fi dystopian book, but kind of utopian actually, because the world that these humans live in our Earth, we've evolved and created this system where everybody has these tiny nanobites in their blood, and these nanobites keep you healthy, keep you from getting illnesses. It makes it so people don't age, and it makes sure if you have any injury, you heal very quickly. You even like can set your nanobots so you feel no pain. So because of this, people aren't dying, right? And so the world had to put together this organization called the Scythedom. And there are these scythes who are people who are trained to kind of cull the population. And you can do that randomly. You can do that based on statistics. I mean, there are some ground rules, but really the scythes are kind of above the law. And this starts to get tricky because, as we know, there's like probably no government in history that is ever without some sort of corruption. And this is really showcased in the second book here. In the first book, we're mostly following two people who are chosen to be a scythe's apprentice, and they kind of have to go against each other, and only one can become the apprentice in the end. So yeah, the first one's more about like the competition between these two people, and then this one is more about the corruption within the Scythedom. And this one, it's just so crazy to me that these books are so thick because they're just so readable and easy to get through. Like I said about Near the Bone, it's just a real page turner, and I can't wait to finally get to the third book and be done with the series. Not because I like really want to be done, but because I just want to know what happens next. The end of this one definitely leaves on a cliffhanger. Those are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books that I really loved for the first quarter of the year. So January, February, March, hopefully, will that be in July? I think I'll be filming something for quarter 2. Hopefully, if I remember. So that's all I have for you today. I'd love to hear what your favorite books in the first quarter of the year were. I'd love to hear if you've read any of these and also loved them, or if you didn't, that's okay. That's all I have for you today though. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you later. Goodbye!